All right, hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be recapping the football game that took place yesterday on September 9th, SUU against BYU here in Provo, Utah, and that's coming up right after this. All right, everyone, welcome back to Just Justin. I am Justin, and today, it's going to be a recap of yesterday's game, but I have a special guest star today.
So when ESPN cuts to the crowd, you see someone folding their arms right there? Well, let's find out who that is.
And it is my son, Riker Jenkins. Of course, you can see that he's a Thunderbird fan, and so he went to the game. He came up from SUU, and he went to the game. And so I'm going to ask you, what did you think of the game yesterday?
I thought it was a pretty good game. It was decent. SU had a lead for 5 minutes, but it's kind of hard to beat the atmosphere like Lavelle Edwards Stadium up in there. So
okay. So last week, SUU took on a Pac-12 school, Arizona State, down in Tempe. Did you think that SUU could bring over that excitement from losing by 3 points against a Pac-10 school?
yeah, I was hoping for it, especially because I live right next to the football stadium down there, and every single day for like 2 hours they would just play loud music just to kind of get the hype up, to kind of get used to the crowd noise. And in the first quarter it looked like they would be able to compete, but then our secondary just fell apart. It was just unfortunate.
Right.
BYU was picking them apart like crazy.
Right. So the first quarter of the game, SUU comes down and they score a field goal, right?
Yeah.
And they also held BYU on their first drive to, what was it, 5 plays?
They didn't even get a first down. It was a 3 and out.
3 and out, and they had to punt the ball away. So I was thinking, this is going to just be a repeat of last week's game, but with SUU maybe taking the edge and beating BYU this year. But that wasn't the case, right?
No, not at all. The final score was what, 17-41 or something?
16 to
41.
Yeah.
It was just unfortunate, Traveled all the way from Cedar City to come watch the game. Didn't make it, didn't cut it.
So if you didn't know the score and you looked at the stats, so SUU had 346 total yards. BYU had 394 yards. You thought it would be a closer game with that yardage. So the first downs, SUU had 16. BYU had 18. The plays, SUU had 60 plays, and BYU only had 55. The passing yards, 262 for SUU and 348 for BYU. So if you look at that, you would think that would be a pretty close game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did BYU do to the visiting section?
So they actually brought us BYU Creamery ice cream, these little pints and stuff, and their hospitality was just super welcoming. And even after the game, people were like, hey, thanks for driving up to come there. We really enjoyed it. It was a really fun game. Like, something about BYU fans, they just have this aura to them, and they just love to serve others. It was kind of cool. It was especially hot. It was like 85 degrees, middle of the day. Having a nice thing of ice cream was really nice.
All right, and so where did you sit at?
The top of section QQ or FF.
Was that in the
I sat in the north end zone.
Okay, north end zone, okay. So did you have a pretty good view?
Yeah, I had a pretty good view, yeah. Okay. I see the whole entire field.
Okay. All right, so we're just going to go off football for a minute. So, Riker, tell us what you do at SUU.
So, I'm a presidential ambassador there at SUU, so pretty much I give tours of campus for prospective students. I also host these things called Red Riots. It's when prospective students, juniors or seniors typically, they come to SUU and we have a fun activity, we give a tour of campus, and they stay overnight at our houses. And that's really what I do. I also come visit high schools here up north or anywhere. We're doing open houses for Provo, Layton, and Salt Lake in a couple weeks. And then also I'm part of a student alumni association, which we plan more ongoing things at SUU for retention purposes. So I'm the community engagement chair, so I plan service activities for there as well. So
All right. So yeah, if you're thinking of going to SUU, go down, head up Wrecker for a tour of the campus, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm have a fun time. I tell lots of jokes, so I think that's the best part about it.
All right. So that concludes today's recap of the SUU BYU game. I thought it was going to be a closer game, especially for the stats. SUU's had a couple good games to start out the year, a Pac-12 and a Big 12 team. They almost beat Arizona State, and so they will most likely have a good season, right?
Yeah, I'm open for our first home game in 2 weeks. It's homecoming week, so I really hope that since we're not playing FBS teams anymore, we're able to, get that stuff together. But our run defense looked really good. BYU got held to only...
They only got, about 45 yards.
Yeah, so our secondary needs a little work, but I really think it's hard when you go against Power 5 schools, but I hope in the next couple weeks our secondary can really push it so we can make a run for an FCS playoff spot. So
okay, all right. Well, we'll be looking forward to next week's game against Arkansas in Arkansas. And so until later, I will see you later. Bye.
Just go Birds.